Query number 1, scholarship and other educational benefits. The year ended June 2022.
The issue is on scholarships and other education benefits. The statement of financial performance reflects scholarships and other education benefits amount of Kenya shillings 546,439,508 as disclosed in Note 2 to the financial statements. However, the amount is at variance with the amount of Kenya shillings 56,121,598 shown in the supporting schedules. The variance of Kenya shillings 490,317,910 has not been explained or reconciled. In addition, and as disclosed in Note 2 to the financial statements, the amount of Kenya shillings 546,439,508 in respect to the scholarships and other educational benefits relates to disbursement of education aid to secondary schools, national schools, vocational training centers, special institutions, colleges, and universities. However, the amount was not supported by a list of beneficiaries and acknowledgement receipts from the recipient institutions. In the circumstances, the accuracy and completeness of the amount of Kenya is 546,439,508 incurred on scholarships and other education benefits could not be confirmed. Thank you.
His Excellency the Governor, your response.
Management response: A, variance of Kenya shillings 490,317,910. The management notes the incompleteness of the schedules. The complete set of the schedules has since been attached hereunder. So see the supporting schedules accounting for the full amount of Kenya shillings 546,439,508. Description is secondary schools 376,556,965. National schools 130,593,393. Vocational training centers 13,380,000. Special institutions 757,760. Colleges 12,068,532. Universities 13,082,858, totaling to 546,439,508. So the Appendix 001A supporting schedule for secondary schools, we've provided down there, you can see. Then the disbursement of the Kenya B, the disbursement of the Kenya shillings 546,439,508, not supported by list of beneficiaries and acknowledgement receipts from the beneficiary institutions. The acknowledgement slips had not been provided by the recipient institutions as at the time of the audit. The slips have since been provided to the auditor and the schedules attached in the appendix. That's the Appendix 001G, list of the beneficiaries, and the Appendix 001H, schedule of acknowledgements from schools, colleges, and universities, and sample acknowledgement receipts. Thank you, Chair.
Very well. Auditor, your comments on the response?
The issue is partially addressed because out of the support schedules, a total of 92,543,393 for national schools was not supported. For secondary schools, we not get support. We only got a support for Kenya is 276,556,965.
So, but
can you repeat?
Yeah,
just repeat your response again. Just repeat that response, auditor.
For secondary schools, we got a total of 276,556,965 being supported, and for national schools, only Kenya shillings 92,543,383 was supported.
So what is the pending variance?
The pending balance for the that is for the national schools, sorry, is 92,543,393. For secondary school,
for tertiary.
The variance which is not supported is 92,543,383.
That is for secondary schools, right? Is that for both tertiary and secondary or just for secondary?
This is not supported for secondary. This is what is yes.
And through the chair,
Yeah. Proceed, Senator Okoli.
I want to request the auditors, can you come clear on the figures that you're taking us through? You seem to be conflicted.
No, maybe as the auditors are still discussing, maybe through the governor, CC Finance, kindly take the members through the schedules to confirm the figures that, whether the schedules add to those figures that you have indicated. Starting with the secondary schools. Members, there is a document there which has all those schedules. Through the chair. Proceed. Yeah, if you check on the schedule mentioned, the schedules are fully supported to the figure indicated for secondary schools. 376 million. Yes, it's fully supported, the schedule is there. So, auditor, where is the difference coming from?
I want the variance.
The variance, where is the variance coming from?
Through your chair, what we are querying are the figures relating to secondary schools and the national schools. Out of the 376, 556, 965, which has been disclosed in the table here, we could only manage to verify 276, 556, 965, leaving a variance of 100 million. Similarly, for the national schools, the figure they have indicated is 130 million, 593, 393, out of which the schedules which were provided for our verification, we could only verify 92 million, 543, 393, leaving a variance of 38 million, 049, 454. Thank you.
So you have a total variance of 138. That's what I have. Okay. The chair proceed. Then.
Senator Mutinda, put yourself on record.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Tabitha Mutinda, Senator, member of this committee. Bona Governor. Good afternoon. We've not met in any of my committees that I sit, and I'm always very keen and observant as far as the women that you bring to this committee, because I wonder if we don't have women in your great county. I only see one.
There are very many.
They are behind there.
Let all the women stand.
Can the women stand?
For the avoidance of doubt.
Yeah, I need to see them. And next time, take the...
Today you should.
I can see the men claiming that the women today are more than the men.
In fact,
But try and be taking also the front seat so that we can see that you are existing, Bwana. Karibu sana, Governor.
Asante sana.
Thank you, Chair.
So, auditor, your variances are rising after adding the figures, or?
They are the same figures. What we need to is to do the subtractions from the schedules on the ones which are in the financial statements, less the ones which are supported. So the total amount which is not supported is 138,049,454.
That's the right figure, but that one has been counted.
So, the CEC finance through the governor. Can you explain to the members where the variance is coming from?
Through the chair, at the time of audit, we noted that, and eventually we availed all the schedules which have been attached here.
So the auditor, have you had time to go through these schedules?
The schedules look to be more detailed than the ones which I verified. So they might be, we need more time to interrogate these documents, because we also checked through, and we had a variance of the match which I've explained.
Auditor, you know, we are not,
Chair.
we are not being efficient there, because, we give you 7 days to verify all these. Just a moment, to verify all these. So when you tell us that we give you more time to go and verify, it means you will keep us on the waiting mode.
Also,
Proceed.
auditor, perhaps this is also to the governor through our chair. I wouldn't even go further into these documents. I'll just send them back so that you can go and relook at them completely, Chair. Because for these bursaries, Chair, if I've got, I think these are 1 kg or so, a book. And then you give me the beneficiaries of a bursary fund as the name of the schools. It leaves a lot to desire. Because the beneficiary is not the school. The beneficiary is the students pegged to the ward. At the very least, I want the name of the students that were given these monies. Or are we together? I want the name of the students that were given these monies. I want the admission numbers. So that when you tell me that Bwake girls, you have given 18,000, for what? Is it 18,000 to go and buy vegetables, or is it 18,000 to give to particular students? Who are these students in Bwake girls? Because that is the best use of money in terms of documentation. I want to see the sons and daughters of Bungoma. I want to know which ward they are coming from. I want to know which years they are in school. So at the very least, just give me admissions and the name of the students. If you give me a bulk document like this, we have had a case here. We just had Lamu, you remember? Lamu was here last week. And Lamu spent about 3 million to go to schools to go and verify whether indeed those students were in those schools, because schools are conduits of sometimes taking money without students being there. So schools cannot be beneficiaries in this scheme. The beneficiaries must be students who come from Bungoma and who have been awarded those checks. So this document entirely is of no consequence with this kind of variances. And I don't know even who is the accounting officer at that time, and I want to know, Chair, through your honor, who was the accounting officer who developed this document?
You know the governor was in the Senate.
In fact, Chair, if you follow the history of Bungoma, immediately I took over, I formed a task force to look at this education thing, because in my view, there were a lot of issues. And the task force also came out with very serious recommendations. So the accounting officers who were there, they went home. Part of the reason was because of this. So I think it's important that, like you are saying, maybe to provide a detailed report, to reconcile and provide a detailed report indicating exactly what you are saying, so that we get to know exactly what the position is. That would be my position.
Chair, the query was on variance. And the moment any variance query comes about, and actually this was a 90% variance, it started with about 546 million. After these updated documents, it still comes to 138 million. Any variance that is past 20 million automatically invites an forensic audit query. And Chair, I'm tempted to ask you not to send the auditor to go and look onto these documents, but to entirely go and do a forensic audit on this particular fund. Because a variance of 138 million after submitting this documentation, honestly, and then the documentation of beneficiary becomes schools. And it is 1 kg, by the way. I'm not even joking. All of them is just schools. This one needs a forensic audit, Chair, if I may request so. So that we don't have a back and forth with the auditors and be able to get to the bottom of there is a lot of things to ask here in terms of this variance. It's too big, Chair. I submit.
Senator Okoli.
I want to concur to some levels that Bungoma has had issues with regard to bursaries and scholarships. And the variance that is exhibited here is a question to pursue. At some levels, the governor has tried what he can, but you see, figures don't lie. If people or government officials were involved to perpetuate disappearance of these figures, I agree that we need together to do an audit of this and find out the truth of the matter. So this far we have come. I agree with the committee and my colleague senator that these documents have a lot to, we have a lot to do. And I agree that we proceed and I request the chair to authorize a serious forensic audit of these figures in Bungoma. Thank you.
Senator Mutinda.
Thank you, Chair. Let me add my voice on the concern of the admission numbers. In our Kenyan curriculum system, you identify a student by the admission number. I had noted a school, Moi Girls Kamusinga, you know, the huge sums like check number 04555552 amounting to 1.3 million. Now, why do you have to write this is how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 checks to one institution, different amounts, as little as 21,000 Kenya shillings? Why not then do an RTGS, of course, accompanied by the check with one sum? Why different checks, the same institution? I just requested for your act, which is 2019, and 9.2 says that within a period of 3 months after end of each financial year, the scheme administrator shall submit to the county auditor and the auditor general the accounts of the scheme. Here we are, Bwana Governor, looking at the issue of a variance of 138 million. Bursary is a very key thing to me. I'm very passionate about bursary because that's where education touches, you know, with the needy. And so if we can right now be talking about 138 variance on the financial year 2020, is it 2021? And your article, your act is clear. Is it your accounting officer who are not adhering, such that right now is when the auditors will be seeking for more time to verify the document that you submitted, and yet it's clearly stipulating that within that, you know, within 3 months, financials should be done and completed. And at the same time, 5 checks to one institution, not just Moi Girls, but I'm seeing other institutions. And how does that go about, whereby one check today, another check tomorrow, or what is happening with this ghost? Because these are not students, these are institutions. In your act, you clearly talked about giving the bursaries secondary school students, not just secondary schools, but secondary school students. It's your own act. So are we, Chair, I'm just concerned, are we just having acts because the law requires, but they are not really being adhered to? It's a very big concern to this committee. I give it back to you.
Senator Eddy.
You know, Chair, finance is what we spend a lot of time doing. Chair, I want to invite you to page 68 of that document. And I hope Governor can go with me to page 68. You know, this document, the reason why I'm telling you that you're going to do a serious forensic audit in this entire fund, you're going to see what we call simple Excel mistakes in trying to generate numbers that could be able to just make sense to the variance that was questioned by the auditors.
Yeah.
And Governor, this is very serious. In case the accounting officer who prepared this particular document is seated here, they'll have a lot of problems. I hope it is the guys you had sent out of office. Chair, page 68. If you start with a school there called Maliki Boys. Maliki Boys all the way to page 69, Nyabola. Only Kilimo Girls Secondary School has 40,000. And then we have got 8,000 in Chwele, and then 3,000 in Kachonge Girls. The rest, you can see a generated Excel drop of 4,000. You are arguing that all students in those over, I think, 30 schools are paying the same amount of fee, and it is the fee in those places are standard 4,000. Chair, go with me to page. Go with me again to page 78. Auditor, I want you to see page 78. Go to a school called St. Kizito Mayanja Secondary. Can you see it? That is what in the finance we call outlier, meaning that all Bungoma students who are getting scholarships most likely are going to this school called St. Kizito, because other schools are getting 5,000 consistently about an average of 20,000. Max is 40. This one all of a sudden gets 628,000. The argument for that cannot be explained financially and statistically. And Chair, I have another one here. Circle this. I hope auditor, you're marking this Excel generations. If you go through this document, and I hope that the senator for Bungoma will go with me through this. Come to page 99. Auditor, are you with me on page 99? Are we on page 99? How is that practical under any circumstance that all these schools from Cardinal Otunga to Singore Girls are given a rationalized check of 21,000? How practical is that under any circumstance? That's why I'm telling you, Governor, this is the most embarrassing document I've ever seen being brought to this committee to check, because it is simple Excel drop that somebody just came up with a number, punched it, and said because the auditor had asked that we check on a variance of 546 million, let me try and get to that number somehow. I can assure you, the accounting officer should confront me and tell me that this one, you can give me paperwork that shows that this money went to these schools. This is a simple Excel error, and this must be accompanied by the beneficiary students. And auditor, the pages I've invited you to check, I want to invite you to go and look at beneficiaries and try and match those beneficiaries to this figure that have been given here. And you and I know as a finance person that you will get bigger variances. It will not add up. So, Chair, this one needs a forensic audit. Yeah. There's no need of committee spending time to discuss.
Just a quick one to Eddie. Just a quick one, Chair, kindly. 1 second. Yeah, my last one. Yeah. It's just an addition to Eddie. I just wanted to add. On page 82, auditors, you realize there is no check number for the institutions. 83, 82, there are no check numbers. And then on the page 70, we have a check, but there's no institution, but the amount is 10,000. There's no institution. I think, Chair, I would want to, if quickly the governor can tell us if the accounting officer is seated here.
I doubt. But
okay, let
the governor respond to that. Yeah.
Maybe I'll give a chance to my CC Finance to say.
CC Finance?
CC Finance say something, then I'll respond to that.
Okay, through the chair. Actually, I wanted to observe and make a statement on this, what has been observed. There are two categories of payments we are observing here, that is bursary and scholarship. At bursaries, they always pay as little as 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, which are also indicated here. And why you find that sometimes you find a school can be paid maybe 3 times or so repeatedly is because of that kind of rationalization of exchequer. You find in this cash flow, this time you have received the exchequer, you apportion that part for payment of bursary or scholarship. That period they need to pay. When you get another exchequer, they are also again supposed to apportion for that for the payment. That's why you find that repetition, and they have to rationalize. That is why you find that. Then the reason why we actually decided not to go the checks way is because when you look at the task force report, which was there, any payment you make by check is supported by schedules. But now, where there were issues is now reconciliation in terms of where the money is going. Because you can pay a school and you find maybe the parent has already also paid. So that is supposed to be reconciled. And that's the reason why there was that task force that was put in place. And this kind of bulky transactions had issues to do with the reconciliation. That's why we directed as County Treasury that all of them must be paid through IFMIS on the platform. So that when they come for payment for a school, they must be attached by a beneficiary list. So when we pay the school, we verify also the beneficiary list. And right now, anything we have paid, we now demand from the school, from the department now to request for acknowledgement. That becomes very easy now in terms of accountability. That is where we have migrated to. Chair.
Chair.
Okay, Chair. Let me
Let me allow the governor to say something.
But I think his officer is just telling some funny statements. We need to get fast to that because no, there are some feedbacks that are not fair, Chair.
You are out of order. The word funny is unparliamentary.
I withdraw, but we need facts, Chair. We are dealing with mathematical issues here.
Let me give the chance to the governor.
Thank you, Chair. I think when I made my comment, the Senator, Madam Senator, had not come in. I said that immediately I assumed office. I realized scholarship program had issues. I formed a task force and subsequently suspended, and eventually the chief officer who was in charge left the county government. So they are not here. Because the task force also came up with a lot of some of these issues that are being raised. And my recommendation will be, I agree with what has been said, that let there be a forensic audit. Because all these facts, we need facts. Of course, we really need to get to the bottom and know who benefited and who did not benefit. In fact, I became very unpopular. People said I'd come to remove scholarships because one of the other issues that was there is a scholarship, because we were going to an election year. It moved from 6,000 to 12,000, just to try and do some PR to be able to maybe win elections. So that's why I did that audit, and that I formed the task force, and the report is there, and the report can also be availed on what was found, together with what the auditor is saying, and even more information can still be availed so that the correct position is established. That is my stand.
Senator, let me give it to Kisang, then Mida, then Senator Mutinda, and then the last comment from Senator Bungoma.
Chair, if you could...
I want you to notice the explanation by the governor.
It's okay.
That there was a task force and there is a report.
Good, Chair. I don't want to repeat, go the same, because if you go to every page or alternate pages, there are there's a lot of money, like Bungoma High School on page 109. There is one school called St. Luke's Kimilili, 4.4 million. Maybe instead of just looking at figures, is to find out from the governor that he has a report. There was a task force report. Maybe you need to tell us the recommendations, because what we expected from you then, if you found the chief officer or the officer who was in charge resigned or took off, what other measures did you take, say by inviting EACC to do investigations? Because if you check through this report, it's just basically a fraud. This was fraud. So we expected you as the CEO of the county to invite other government agencies to help you.
As we speak, Chair, the matter is with EACC.
Oh, good. So at least then, Chair, if already the matter is outside there with EACC, maybe then what you recommend is we do forensic instead of also wasting now more time on something that is already outside there.
Yeah, so that's clear. Members, don't repeat yourself.
No, it's very clear. In fact, when a governor should have started that more or less with a disclaimer, other than us at least dwelling on it. Though, even if we gave benefit of doubt, looking at it again, I repeat, there are no receipts, and even the recipient's institution that showing they have received the money. Actually, that is the bottom line.
Yeah, Senator Mutinda, don't repeat yourself. The matter is now very clear.
I didn't want to repeat myself, but Chair, we have to be realistic with what is current. You know, I was listening to your CC, and CC, on my issue that I'd raised on the Moi Girls Kamusinga, asking you why you are giving different checks. I sit in the Finance and Budget Committee, where we issue funds to these counties. And when we come to this oversight and see how money cannot be accounted, I mean, it really discourages so much. So when you reply and say, money from the exchequer comes in late. So do you want to tell me you gave check number 45549 and still money came late? You gave check 4550, that is 50. You gave check 51, you check 52. And we most of us here, we have checkbooks, you know? So you cannot tell me the amount, let me call it like that, like a small amount that came from exchequer was, you are able to give amount 21,000 to this student. And the second following check is consistent with the check numbers. The second one, it took you so long, so there was no check within there that you wrote. So at least when you're also giving this, your governor is admitting, which we appreciate. But if you're the accounting officer, you need to own up and say, yes, there's a mistake, there was a problem. Because actually, the advantage you have is that you were not in office then. So why are you trying to give us answers that will suit you at this time? And this is not your work. You were not there in place. So just own up, and you cannot tell us there was no money. The check numbers are following each other consistently. So it's good to honor, because a governor depends on you so much. Us as a committee rely on you so much. It's only Article 179 that makes him be responsible to answer all these questions. But he really depends. That's why you're seated next to him. So when there's an error, let us accept so that we can be able to move forward. Thank you, Chair.
Wakoli.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to request, looking at this sequence of the sequence of the checks, we need to do an audit of these checks, because I expected that the flow of the checks will be clear, and where the number of the checks are not there is also a question that needs to be cleared. So, through my governor, my friend in charge of finance, you should be hands-on. The least I expected is being tongue-tied in the Senate setting like this, putting our governor in a very awkward situation. So, through the chair, we proceed with the forensic audit and then deal with this matter. Thank you.
Let's not belabor these matters. I will give directions, and the directions I give, number one, is that the county, you submit to us the report of the task force, again in the 14 days. Number two, I do not find these schedules very useful to this committee because, as members have pointed out, there are so many anomalies. Every page there is an anomaly, and it doesn't have admission numbers and all that. So given that we are going to order for a forensic audit, I therefore direct that these schedules be expunged from our record because they are misleading. But forensic audit be conducted by the Office of the Auditor General. Communication should be done by the clerk for that. But taking note that EACC is already handling the matter. Unfortunately, the representation from EACC is not here today, but he would have confirmed. So I think that addresses the matter. And the governor, thank you for taking action on this matter. In fact, you should just have told us that this matter is before EACC as your response. That would have stopped us from going around in circles. So I think that brings us to the end of our bursary fund. So we proceed to disaster and emergency fund. So you can clear the documents and give members disaster and emergency fund. So just like what we did for, just like what we did under bursary fund, auditor, I would like you to give us a brief of the fund for each year, starting with the year ended June 2020.
For the three funds, we got the first year.
Just before you continue, and the members of the media, we will expect you to make fair reporting of our proceedings. These particular issues took place when the governor was still the speaker. So, yeah, I think you should note that, because I saw the other day you had written something and the governor was not there. So you need to note that. Proceed.
We are dealing with Bungoma County Disaster and Management Fund, and you have 3 years. The first year is year ended 30th June 2020, where we had an adverse opinion. The second year is that ended 30th June 2021, which we had a qualified opinion, and the final year is financial year ended 30th June 2022, where we had a qualified opinion. The financial year 2020, that's where we have bulk of the issues as compared to the other 2 years. And here we got an adverse report. The total number of issues which were raised in this particular year are a total of 30, where we had 10 were addressed and 20 were not addressed. And 20 were not addressed.
Let's proceed.
So we go through the financial year 2020, whereby we had the following: failure to provide trial balance and ledgers. This is not resolved. The statement of financial performance, this was not resolved. That is, these are inaccuracies in the financial statements. We also had inaccuracies in the statement of financial position. This is not addressed. We also had issues, and included in that issue on a statement of financial position are issues on interest, which are not addressed. We also have issues on land and buildings. They are still also incorporated in that statement of financial position, and they are not addressed. We also had variations on road and bridges, which is not addressed. Another financial statement which had errors, inaccuracies, is a statement of net assets. This is not addressed. In addition, we also had issues with the statement of cash flows, and this has not been addressed. And other than the issue of inaccuracies, we had an issue with irregular expenditure, whereby the matter is not addressed on several issues, which are included in one. We also had an issue number 3 on interest management. This is also intertwined with the first issue on a statement of financial performance, and we are saying we have an issue with the outstanding interest and management of interest. The other issue is on issuance of multiple interest. This has been resolved. The other issue is on irregular payments of allowances.
Auditor, don't use the word resolve.
Not
Because it is
addressed.
this committee to resolve. It just say addressed.
Yes.
Resolve is the mandate of this committee.
Irregular payments of allowances. This has not been addressed. Irregular payment of works which were not done. This is not addressed. There is the issue of budgetary control. This is as discussed. Unresolved prior year matters. This has been addressed. Presentation of financial statements. This has been addressed. We also had issues of variances in the general ledger and expenses and the schedules provided. This has not been addressed. We had issues on payments of non-related emergency items. This is not addressed. And that is the last issue. So for the financial year 2020-2021, we had an issue with the presentation and inaccuracies in the financial statements. This has not been addressed. Also, we had an issue with cash and cash equivalents, whereby part of it was addressed, and this is as discussed. Budgetary control and performance, this is as discussed by the committee. There is also an issue with non-compliance.
What do you mean was discussed by the committee? Remember, this is a different fund.
Yes, because you had given directions that when an issue is discussed at the first item.
No. But that's if we are dealing with the same fund.
Oh, okay.
This is a different fund.
Agreed. So the issue here is budgetary control and performance. The issue is partly resolved or addressed. Then we also have an issue with non-compliance with contractual terms of Siuna Kimarewa Culvert project, where the issue is not addressed. We also had an issue with lack of an approved budget. The issue is not addressed. And we also had the issue of lack of internal audit reports. This issue has been resolved, has been addressed. So now we move to the financial year 2022, the year ended 30th June 2022, where we had a qualified opinion. The first issue is inaccuracies in the financial statements. This issue has not been addressed. The second issue is on budgetary control and performance. This issue has not been addressed. And the other issue is on unresolved prior year audit matters. This has not been addressed. We come to the end of the 3 years.
Honorable members, we were consulting here. This particular fund seems to be having so many issues, quite a number of issues, starting with the first year, 2019, 2020, which had an adverse opinion, and there are quite a number of issues there. So I've consulted the clerk, and the clerk is advising that these queries are quite weighty, and because of the limited time we have, we will not be able to cover it, do justice to it right away. So the clerk will sit down with his team, which includes the physical analyst, look through the queries, flag out the queries which have high fiduciary risk, and those particular queries, we will look at them together with the other funds. We have other funds for Bungoma which we are not going to cover today. So that will be looked at together with those other funds that are remaining in Bungoma. And when we come back, we will commence with the disaster and emergency fund, because Akash will look at it. This thing will take us a whole day, these emergency funds, because like the first year has almost over 10 queries which are not addressed yet, and the amounts are very significant. So the clerk plus your secretariat team, you will go through these reports with the responses, and then flag out the many issues which we are going to consider in the next meeting we are going to have for Bungoma, for the other remaining funds, for a date that we are going to set up. So we say that because we want to do justice to this report and to the people of Bungoma. Unless if there is any, can see Governor is raising.
Again, I want to agree with you, because again, I formed a task force whose report will be able to present, and the findings are almost very similar to what has been raised by the auditors. The matter is also still with ESCC. I think some documents can also be retrieved from ESCC, and again, the officers who are involved also suspended them, and they are not in service. So I agree with you that we need to get deeper into it so that the people of Bungoma get justice and get to know exactly what happens. I agree with you.
Yeah. So Governor, maybe you can also supply us with a copy of that task force report. Senator Eddy?
Chair, you know the governor has pronounced himself a number of times on the issue of task force and on the issue of ESCC. I'm almost persuaded to think that we will not do justice going through these documents, because it's like, I remember when we were doing the water issue, I think it was the same Bungoma, and they had a task force on the on some water problem with Transoia, if I'm not wrong. So in the case where a new governor has formed a task force to be able to address a matter of this kind of magnitude, Chair, would it be prudent that the governor tells us the timeline for this task force, when are they finishing their job, and then when can we possibly get that report first? Or get that report, we interrogate that report first. Because my belief is that that report will address some of these emerging complexities with the audit query. So once we examine that report, then even if our technical teams and like the physical analysts are going through the audit query, they are going informed with what the task force has done. That way, we are not going to repeat ourselves on the issues that are emerging, the same way we did with the water company in Bungoma and Transoia, we really relied on the task force report to be able to enable us decluster or cluster some of the areas that they wanted us to be able to help them with. So if there are funds here that have got a task force going on, could you just mention them to us, all of them, and then give us a timeline on when this task force is going to finish their job? And then in that anticipatory audit exercise, we can be able then to harmonize the two. Otherwise, we'll be doing double jobs, and we need to get into current affairs of the current governors. Chair, I submit.
Chair,
Very well.
I wanted to respond
Yes, proceed.
that the task force completed their work. The report has already been, all the reports have actually been tabled to the county assemblies and recommendations were made there. So we can even provide them tonight,
Yeah.
if depending on how
So-
urgent it is. So the task force report is there.
So maybe you can provide it. Let me give you 7 days.
Yes.
So that as the clerks are going through these queries and preparing a report for us, they will have the benefit of going through the task force report. But also tell us, is this other fund also facing the same challenge? The Youth and Women Empowerment Fund?
No, it's not so serious. The disaster one, actually, like the name says, is a disaster. So I think that is the one that has serious issues. But the youth and women is not so much. But again,
Yeah.
it's good just for us to.
Senator Mutinda?
Yeah, we are on the same page, Governor. Now you've made it easier. But I just wanted to know, when did you submit this issue to EACC?
That was sometime last year. I can't remember the exact date because we have a regional office actually in Bungoma, so they have all this documentation. I think immediately that must have been November, December last year.
Okay, so it's barely less than 3 months.
2022.
Or 2022?
Yes.
So it's almost 1 and 3 months.
Yeah.
1 year.
I'm sure
3
if
months.
they have been very serious and thorough, they must be at the tail end of the investigations. But that is for them to tell us.
Okay. Noted.
Senator Okoli?
I want to request through the committee that we also get a brief from EACC, because there's a tendency of them also taking their sweet time and also milking the animal before the report is given. So through the committee, we need to get an update. Thank you.
Yeah, very well. So the clerk, please write to EACC to give an update, not just on the disaster fund, but also on the other fund, the 2 funds, so that when you are preparing your brief to the committee, you look at the task force reports, the EACC update, and these audit responses, so that we can now prepare to engage the county of Bungoma next time. Maybe, Governor, you can tell us which other funds do you have apart from this?
We have the women and youth, and that's the only also. Disability, yeah.
Oh, disability.
Yeah.
Liquor fund?
We have trade loans also.
Liquor?
Liquor, no.
Okay.
Why are you interested in liquor?
Through the chair.
Through the
I
chair.
think the statement is not in good faith, because a county like ours cannot have a fund for liquor.
The county that I represent, Nairobi, the liquor fund is on another level.
Okay. So, members, we will defer consideration of this fund because of the reasons we have stated. So, Vice Chair, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm already on that.
You are here.
I am the one who started the meeting.
Then, you look like you are just coming in. So, honorable members, let's quickly look at the last fund here, which is the Youth and Women Empowerment Fund. So again, Auditor, you give us a brief.
Chair, Through the chair,
Yes,
I want to request that I fall out of the session
yes.
to pursue other matters of national importance.
No, not county importance.
Chair, I think this is the most interesting fund, even as it seeks to step out. And it's for youth. It's very important.
No.
I also support that he should be here because of that fund for youth and women, because he's the senator for that county.
He's a youth himself.
For that reason, for the reason of women.
Okay. Aye. Auditor, proceed.
We have before us is Bungoma County Youth, and before us we have Bungoma County Youth and Women Empowerment Fund, and we have the years. 2 of the years have got an adverse report, and 1 year has got a qualified report. I start with the first year, that is the financial year 2020. Ended 30th June 2020. We have the statement of financial position. We have inaccuracies in the financial statements. The first one is on statement on financial position. We also had the second statement on statement of changes in net assets. This is not addressed as well as the first one. The other issue is on a statement of cash flows. This is also not addressed. Then we also had another issue on the failure to provide the trial balance and ledger. This is not addressed. We also had an issue with cash and cash equivalents. This has not been addressed. We also had an issue with the current portion of the receivables from exchange transactions. This has not been addressed. We also had an issue on budgetary control and performance. This has not been addressed. We also had an issue on presentation of the financial statements. This has been addressed. We also had an issue with the failure to achieve FAD objectives. This has not been addressed. There was also an issue on the lack of budget for new loans. This has not been addressed. We also had an issue with non-compliance with the revolving fund principles. This has not been addressed. That is for the year ended, that is June 2020. For the year ended, that is June 2021. It is an adverse opinion, whereby we had an issue with the accuracy of the financial statements, and the issue has not been addressed. We also had an issue with non-recovery of the outstanding loans. The issue has not been addressed. We also had an issue with the sustainability of services. This has not been addressed. We also had an issue with unresolved prior year matters. This has not been addressed. We also had an issue with the outstanding interest. This has been addressed. We come to the end of that year. We had another year, that is the financial year ended, that is June 2022, whereby the opinion is qualified. The first issue is on a failure to correct an unrecoverability of loans that had been issued, and this item is still not addressed. It had also another component in it on a lack of provision of the doubtful debts. This has not been addressed. We also had another issue on an unsupported cash and cash equivalents. This has been partially addressed. We also had an issue with inaccuracies in the financial statements. This has not been addressed. There is the issue of sustainability of services, whereby the issue has not been addressed. And finally, you have an issue on outstanding interest. This has been addressed. Thank you, sir.
Maybe, Governor, you can give us a brief about this fund so that we don't follow into the same challenge we got into, because the audit queries are also quite a number.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think generally, if you look at what issues that are being raised, there are capacity issues in terms of those who are supposed to do this, and then there were too many the funds, the committees. So we are proposing that, okay, in fact, what we are doing is wanted to amalgamate them to make management a bit easier, because each fund had a lot of challenges arising from capacity, like I've said. Generally, that is what I can say, but maybe and allow my CC Finance also to add on what I've said.
CC Finance?
Okay, through the chair. Actually, the whole issue is about capacity issues on preparation of financial statement and also sustainability of the fund because of high administrative cost. So the proposal we're actually doing currently is to amalgamate all the empowerment funds like trade loan, disability, youth and women, because it serves the same purpose but different objective. So because instead of having separate committees which attracts the administrative cost, we wanted it to be under one framework so that we manage the administrative cost and also sustainability of the fund. And the issue of capacity, we have actually planned as country to train all the accountants, because most of the issue is inaccuracy in financial statements. Those ones we have flagged out. And also, Chair, because of proper management, we have opened all these funds special purpose account in Central Bank. That is as required by the Regulation 82.2 of 2015. So that for easier of administration and reporting, all of them are migrating to IFMIS. Thank you.
Senator Agenda?
Chair, of course, beautiful submissions there. I do not know that there's a bill that is underway or that has been worked or presented to the Assembly to amalgamate the fund. But Chair, my concern is we have two adverse reports in this. As the auditors stated, there are two adverse reports. I propose, Chair, that we pick out the recurring issues to the last year so that we then move this to the next level, so that
I know it was not his, the Right Honorable Makelo was not in office then. It was not his fund, but I think there's need to also see what weaknesses, why you'd have 2 adverse reports for 2 consecutive financial periods. And even this one is also, the last one is also not any good. So we can input so that even if they're doing a new bill for purposes of amalgamating everything else, at least we have, we are able to contribute or help them, help the county to have a framework that will work. Otherwise, again, if you just put women, children, women, youth, and other people into a fund, it will be a bigger mess next year.
Any other comments? Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I was just looking at the Act. And in this Act, which was enacted in 2015, quite so many years ago, six, 2, which says that there shall be paid out of the fund 8% of the sums allocated to the incurred in connection with the administration of the fund. And Chair, you know very well, county regulations under PFM 197 says that the percentage for administration should be 3%. So why are you still having such with this kind of figures, because they're not as per the PFM? At the same time, Chair, even before we look at the issues of the audit, this Act does not guide on the recoveries of the fund. They say it's the loanee is as per prescribed. It's just open. Was it money for campaign that was being given to people? Was it money for charity? What was this that you're so comfortable, Governor, from 2015, even before you thought of becoming a governor, I can tell, that you come to office and this Act is what is presented to this committee?
No, maybe just for correction.
Yes, Governor.
I was a governor between 2013 and 17. Actually, I'm the one who came.
Perfect. That is even better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because now, if you are the one in office, and you are the one now in office in 2024, then this is something that should have been rectified immediately. Why are we still having 8%, which is not as per the PFM regulations? Should be 3%. Are we really dealing with emergency, or are we making people comfortable in their allowances?
Actually, it has been revised, just awaiting approval by the county assembly.
Okay, through the chair, let me take 1 second. I would request the governor, yes, we need to make progress, because if there's any new things that are being done, when the chair gives you opportunity to do remarks, these are some of the issues that need to be raised, because when I asked for the Act, I needed not to be provided by this one. I needed to be informed the same, so that we don't dilly-dally on the old script. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But we can't give you what is already not existing. So once it's approved,
Chair.
then
Chair.
you are through it. Yeah, okay.
Chair, maybe the governor can tell us the actual status. They want to amalgamate. What is the progress? Is the law in place now, so that we know these funds are all going to collapse and we'll have one, so that even when we are making recommendations, we are making recommendations to something that we know it is going to continue, or you are having something cooking different in place.
Let me give my CC gender also, so that they are not just here. They can also make a useful contribution. Chair agenda.
CC agenda.
CC agenda.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We already forwarded the regulations to the County Assembly. We were actually supposed to appear before them tomorrow to take them through the regulations before they approve. So it is already work in progress. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable members, I want us to make progress. As explained by the CEC Finance, most of the queries relate to issues of capacity and incompetence. But the clerk has isolated two major queries that we need to look at that cuts across all the other years. The issue of 2022, the year ended 2022, we have a query on non-recovery of outstanding loan. Members, you know, we are experienced enough on matters of such funds, and the issue of non-recoveries of interest. Then we have a query on sustainability of this fund. So we will look at the two funds and two queries which cut across the 3 years.